Hi everyone, in this video we are going to discuss research rationale and research gap. Are these two same or are these two different? So you'll understand how these two are same or how these two are different from each other. Okay, so coming to the research rationale and research gap, these two are very important elements in research writing. If we fail to write the rationale and gap in a proper way, so definitely that will not uh, convey what we would like to add the information through our research work, or what what our research work will highlight, or what is the significance of it, and what is the justification for conducting our research. So definitely all these aspects uh, will not be communicated to the reviewer. So the reviewer who is not connected to our work, so definitely he will look into the justification of the work and significance of the work. If we don't write, or if we fail to write it properly, these aspects, definitely the reviewer will reject our proposal, or our article uh, from publishing. So that's why, so every researcher, they must know what exactly the research rationale, and what are the components present in it, and what is the significance of these components. So what you are trying to find out from your studies, and what is the justification of for your studies, and how your study will add the new information to the existing knowledge, or how your study is a novel from the previous studies. So that can be understood from the rationale of your research part. See, if you don't understand the significance of it, so definitely you will fail to focus on this aspect in your research proposal or a article, that will ultimately leads to the rejection by the reviewer. So now let us understand what are the different things in this research rationale. See, for example, let's take this as an example. The components of the rationale. See, three components are there in a rationale, research rationale. We could find three components. So we should have much knowledge about these three components of the rationale, so that we can write very strong rationale for our proposal, and which will enhance the acceptance of our proposal. For example, the first thing is the literature review. So literature review is the first element, and the second one is the research gap, and third one is the significance. See, if we don't write the gap, or significance of our study with logic, so the reviewer may not find it suitable for considering accept for considering publishing our work. So take this tuberculosis as one example. See, let me read the first sentence. See, although a lot of studies have reported the role of proteins in drug resistance, so the expression of the genes in drug resistance of mycobacterium has not been studied yet. See, the first component, literature review. So for the first element, or the first component, we have to read many articles. We have to read the many articles. When we read many articles, we understand what is studied in that particular field already. So what has been studied already can be understand, or is known by studying the so many research articles in that particular field. So that I can say it's a literature review. So the first component of the rational is the literature review. There you have to study so many articles with respect to your topic. For example, your topic is the drug resistance in tuberculosis. So if it is your subject, you have to read so many articles. So some articles uh, they study the proteins, some articles they study on something else, so like that. See, some they focus on the mechanism of the drug resistance, like that. So you have to read all the articles in that particular area. Or you can take the microbacterium. You can see how the infection process, or you can see the therapies available for microbacterium and all, so which are very general. So when it comes to specific, you can see the drug resistance. So in drug resistance, you can see what is the available literature. Okay, so that is very important. After that, see, the expression of the genes in drug resistance of microbacterium has not been studied. So when you study the literature, you find so many things coming from the previous studies. But when you look into some aspects, so you may find some aspects are not there. For example, no study has reported the role of genes in drug resistance. So in such case, so that becomes the gap, so that is to be studied. So that becomes the research gap. The research gap is the second component, so which is also the result of the literature review. But so literature review provides two things: what is known and what is the unknown from that particular area, or what is studied and what is not studied in that particular area. So the expression of the genes in drug resistance of microbacterium has not been studied yet, so it is providing a research gap. The literature is providing a research gap now. So next part is that no significance. So why should you study the genes with respect to the drug resistance? See, the analysis of gene expression provides a comprehensive understanding of the drug resistance in tuberculosis. Because it is adding a new information, it is providing a novelty to your work. So to that particular area, so that it becomes your significance. So why you want to study the genomics? So if you study the genomics, you will have a more knowledge about the role of the genes, so that will enhance the understanding the mechanism of the drug resistance. So that adds a new information, that adds a novelty to your work. So that's why, so the third component is the significance. So you have to write the significance of your work also. So just writing the research gap is not enough, is you have to write the significance of your work also after your research gap in your research article or in your research proposal. So if we summarize all that rationale, so it is providing a reason for the study. It is providing the reason why you want to study the genomics. So you want to study the genomics because it enhances your understanding. It enhances your understanding of that process of the drug resistance. That's why you want to study the genomics. So it adds the new information. So it provides so that means it's providing a reason for the study. So the second one is the justification. Why should you conduct the genomics? So because there are not enough studies. So if that is the justification, so your research gap will become the justification for your study. That means the it when much studies are not there in that particular area, so it is obviously we can conduct studies, so that provides the justification of doing our research work. Third one, it provides the background or the context. See, this is a reversal I am telling. See, from significance we are moving to the research gap. From the gap to we are moving to the literature review. That means what is already known. So background or the context. So what are the studies in the field? So that provides the background or the context to the that particular area of research. See, let's take this as one example. See, for example, the tuberculosis only. See, you are a young researcher, you used to study the drug resistance in tuberculosis. You know a lot about the tuberculosis. That means the mode of infection, you know what are the symptoms and what are the therapies available, you know. So but when you notice the literature, there is not much information about the drug resistance in tuberculosis. So then that becomes your research problem. So in this research problem, now you have to write the rationale for it. So the rationale contains three components. First one is the literature review. So when you read the literature about this particular drug resistance mechanism in mycobacteria, see, most of them focusing for might have focused on the proteomics or how the drugs control the bacterial growth. See, the studies are only on the proteomics and how they control the bacteria growth. See, what is see that means they have not studied the genomics of it, or how the drug resistance mechanism works in the tuberculosis. So those studies may not be available. See, that becomes your research gap. So Next, let's see identification of gap. So you identify a gap in what you know. So there is not enough information about the genomics of drug resistance or how genes contribute to the uh, the drug resistance in the bacteria. So that becomes the gap of your research. So identification of gap is the second component, and third one is the emphasis on the significance. Why should you know the genomics of the drug resistance in microbacterium? Because this process of this process of identifying the genes uh, will enhance our understanding of the drug resistance. So that means it adds new information to the existing knowledge. So that becomes the significance. So when we submit our research proposal, so that research proposal have a very good rationale. So good rationale means so you should have very good literature review. That means you should provide a good backdrop or no context for it. And next you have to have the research gap, so which also comes from the literature only. And this research gap explains the justification of conducting our work, because there are no studies, so you are doing it. See, third one is the significance of the work. The significance of work talks about the reason for conducting this particular study, the genomics. See, the reason for conducting this particular work is because it enhances your existing knowledge, or it adds the novelty to the research. So that's why you may be conducting your research. So these three things should be there. If we just write research gap, that is not enough. We have to write the significance of the work also. See, these three components must be there in our rationale. And don't confuse this no research rational research rational significance, which is the third component, with the hook sentence of the your introduction of research. Say the hook statement or hook sentence which explains the broader significance of your research area. For example, you are working on cancer, so the hook statement becomes how many um, how many people have died because of the cancer, or how many different cancers, and what is their prevalence in a particular area. That becomes the hook sentence, because it gives the significance of the research work that we will do. But both explains the significance only, but the hook sentence explains the broader significance. Okay. And a research rationale, when you write the research rationale with literature, with literature review, research gap and significance. So this rationale, the research rationale's significance will explains the significance only of that particular part of the research, not the whole research. The next thing is how to master in writing research rationale. See, you have to go through the research articles, the previous research articles. From the research articles, you look into in the research articles, in the previous research articles, you look into the literature part and the research gap and significance of the study. So if you can identify these things from the previous articles, see, you will understand the structural organization of these components in research papers. So that will help you to master in writing the research rationale. So whenever you read a research article, you have to look into these three aspects. First, the literature review. This literature review provides the backdrop or the context. Context means the information, the relevant information of that particular research topic, that provides the relevant information of that particular research topic. Then you look into the research gap. So literature review itself provides us what is not known so far, you know that. So then you just into research, look into the research gap, and finally the significance of the study. Okay, so you know that this research gap, it provides the justification for our study, and the significance of study provides the reason for conducting our research work. What is the reason for conducting? So that provides the significance of study. And a literature review, that provides us the information of the context of the research work. So to master writing this research rational, so you must look into these aspects whenever you read a research article. So after the research rational, what we find in our research article. See, when you see the structure of the research article in the introduction part, see after the research rational, see once the research gap is identified, once the significance of that research is mentioned, so we will find in some articles the hypothesis, and after that you will find the aim of your research work. What is your aim, or what are the objectives of your research work? Okay, then you will find the different methods that are used for finding the answer for your research problem, or to find the answer for the research gap. So different methods. So these are the components that are observed in a research article. Thank you.